What's this? It's a book! Okay, another book review, and the last for this series. This is AvP Armageddon, the third of the Rage War trilogy by Tim Lebbon. Now, while I reviewed the first two books of the series, go watch them here, I've tried to not put in any major spoilers. Today, I'm at least going to reference things in those two last books, which may be spoilers, but that's fair at this point. But no major spoilers for this one at least. Now, we left off hoping this book would deliver, as the last two stories didn't resolve much, and we're building up big time to a huge conclusion. So, did it deliver? Fucking yes it did! Basically at this point, predators and humans have entered into a pact to fight alongside each other against the Rage, hence why it's called the Rage War. And we get lots of great action. I'm really grateful for a summary at the beginning of the book, of the first two books, right up front. That's smart because I haven't read those books in months, and I totally forgot they killed my favorite character. It's very much like a TV show letting you know what happened on the previous week's episode. So in this one, we follow a small group of Marines that survive a crash landing and fight in city streets, urban combat style against xenomorphs, with predators showing up and helping out. We get a bunch of space battles with ships shooting nukes and laser blasts and jumping in and out of warp speed all the time. The largest colonial marine base in human existence gets in on the fight. We have human scientists working alongside predator scientists, one whose braids are long enough to touch the ground. Thousands of xenomorphs fighting all at once. Shit's hectic. And we expand a lot on the universe that is aliens and predator. Maybe too much. We get more info on how clans and societies and the hierarchy of the races work. We also see a lot of their hidden away technology and hear about how long the species has lived and the lengths of the galaxy they've been to. Some of this stuff is contradictory to the things seen in older AvP comics and books, but not so much, just different. We also hear about another species called the Phase, which is basically space magic, and Drukathi, another race of alien that make humans and predators' place in the universe seem like a drop in the bucket. Now this is cool and all, but it might actually be too much. I'm weary of the introduction of new species to the aliens canon, especially species that are almost supernatural in their abilities. Using mysterious races as a storytelling device in the AvP franchise is an easy high, but comes at the expense of diluting the uniqueness of the other two races. Have we really gotten to a point with xenomorphs that they're just dangerous ants and fodder for machine guns? Is the concept of a technologically advanced race that lives for the thrill of the hunt lost its allure? In a science fiction franchise that differentiates itself from Star Trek and Star Wars by being more grounded in reality, did we really want to open up that can of worms? It becomes a never-ending series of what's on the other side that will inevitably lead to disappointment, in my opinion. Which is why AvP at its core should not be dependent on mystery, but rather on thrills and action. With the exception of the first Alien film and Ridley's return to the franchise with Prometheus, none of the Alien or Predator movies have relied on vague mystery to tell compelling stories. Aliens is an action-adventure film. Alien 3 is a survival horror story. Every Predator movie is an action movie. Even if Danny Glover is investigating the Predator's murder scenes and discovering stuff about them, it isn't anything we didn't already know from the first film, really. Okay, that was a big rant. My point is, be creative within the boundaries set by the established universe, lest you venture too far into Mass Effect territory and can't rein it back in. You may retort by pointing to the first Alien film, the derelict spacecraft, and the space jockey and say that the idea of there being other life forms is canon. But I would say this. Alien is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, science fiction horror film of all time, not only because it was such an effective haunted house and space movie, not only because it featured one of the all-time best creature designs, not only because Ridley Scott could draw attention out like a motherfucker, but also because the first half functions as one of the best examples of Lovecraftian fiction in any medium. I don't mean that Cthulhu is hanging around somewhere on LV-426. When I say Lovecraftian, I mean cosmic horror. The idea that the universe is so vast, old, dark, and full of ancient, unfathomable horrors that to glimpse at it all is to risk madness and slaughter. It's the idea that we do not belong out here in this unknowable abyss. But in order for us to experience that kind of dread in our fiction, we can only be fed so much. So yes, technically the first Alien film canonizes the idea of multiple extraterrestrial species, but to venture out and introduce those species is also a betrayal of why that imagery was used in the first place. And it's especially unnecessary in a franchise that, in my mind, should be focused on science fiction action. Does that make any sense at all? Okay, a few more things that bug me. Introducing characters, telling me their ancestry and their amazing lineage of explorers for hundreds of years, and how she likes playing with her alien dog on a beautiful beach, only to just be murdered immediately when xenomorphs show up. Maybe you get to follow her for a while and she has an adventure but gets killed later, that's fine. But why waste time on something that, again, does not matter? But that's my only real complaint with the story, so that's not too bad. Oh, and don't name two characters Maxwell and Marshall and have them talk to each other because it's really hard to follow along with who's who. Overall, it was a very good conclusion to the series. The ending was uplifting, but sad, but also triumphant, but also defeated. You'll have to read it to understand. Depending on what you want out of the Alien and Predator franchise and universe, and what you want to see Fox do with it, you can go both ways. Expanding the universe too much all at once thins it out, but it also gives instant gratification. Whether or not you want that depends on the reader or viewer. With that said, it was the best of the series and the most suspenseful in a way that wouldn't let me put the book down. Oh yeah, I'm also really interested where this stuff fits in with Alien Covenant out next year. You might be thinking to yourself, after our last two reviews that seemed pretty much mixed, that we're not really recommending this series, or you're reading it now and thinking, why should I even finish this? I'll just stop reading it now. But I would say that you should stick it out. The payoff with the last book is worth it. It's worth sticking it out through the first two books and getting to this giant climax. It's good stuff. Book! Okay. What is this? Oh, it's a book!
You're just like tearing the shit out of this, aren't you?
I didn't do Book! Okay, another book review, and the last for this series. This is AvP Armageddon, the third of the Rage War trilogy by Tim Lebbon. Tim Lebbon.
Lebbon, it's pretty easy. Tim Lebbon.
Tim Lebbon.
Lebbon.
Tom Lebbon. It's Tom Lebbon.
Tom Lebbon.
I want to say Tom Lebbon. Talk, 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 talk.